Hey, what's up guys? In this video we're going to be talking about the 5 secrets to really retain clients forever. In fact, my oldest client's been with me since '09. Man, life gets a lot easier when the payments are there. I used to be really impressed, by the way, when people would say, I just made a sale, and they do it on Facebook and everybody high-fives them. I'm way more impressed now when those people say, hey, my client has signed on for their 3rd year. Doesn't sound very exciting, but I'll tell you, man, your agency flies a whole bunch easier when you get this. So by the way, for those of you guys who don't know me already, my name's Frankie Finn. I wrote the book Beyond the Agency Box since about '07. I've built 3 of my own agencies up to 100 plus clients simultaneously. And I've also helped mentor a whole bunch of people and coach them worldwide to live this whole agency beach laptop lifestyle. And we're going to get into some badass retention secrets right now. So let's do it. All right, man. There are 5 things that, at least that I've found from my experience of 14 years of doing this, that really make or break retention. You do this right, what will happen is, whether you're using Stripe or PayPal, clients will keep paying you and they'll keep being happy about it. And you even get a thank you. By the way, my first, I don't know, like 5 years of running an agency, never got a whole lot of thank you. And when you do this, what will happen is, I consider sales to be like the engine in your airplane. So like it'll take off. Like if you put a big enough engine on a fucking boulder, it'll fly in the air. But eventually, if you stop selling, that engine will just bloop, fall to the ground and smash to a million pieces. And retention is like the wings on the airplane. By the way, for those of you guys who don't know this, a little bit of backstory. There's another guy competing with the Wright brothers trying to get famous, building the airplane first. He wanted to be the first one, and he had invested all his money in the engine and the tools like that, the sails, if you will. And the Wright brothers were just trying to get the wings to glide, and then figured if they could do that, they could put an engine on it, it would work. And what happens is, just like that, if your agency is all sales and no retention, you'll be constantly launching a boulder that smashes back to the ground. If you retain people, you can glide almost indefinitely forever. So that's going to be really, really key to doing this. Otherwise, you end up like with this disappointed kind of Lumbergh face.
Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports. You see, we're putting the cover sheets on all TPS reports now before they go out.
Okay, so that was enough build-up. Let's get into the 5 things, by the way. Thing number 1 is results. Obviously, if you don't get any results, you're not going to keep people. Now, people think, I hear a lot of times in groups, just get results, man. People stay, man, just fucking get results. And I'm here to tell you, not always so. Sometimes, but not always. It's certainly an important piece, but I'll tell you, I've had clients fire me who got 10 to 1 return on spent. And I remember when I did SEO in my early days, there was a doctor in New York City. I told him it would take him at least a year to rank in New York City. After about 3 months, I had him number 3 for his keyword. His phone was ringing, and he hung up the phone and said, God damn it, when am I going to be number 1? Right? So like, you can get people results and still get fired. It happens, right? But certainly you won't retain clients if there are 0 results. But that means, well, if you're generating leads and the website looks nice, or the ads are working, or you're ranking the website, it's probably not about your results. And that's hoping where most of you guys are at. The second thing, by the way, is your client communication. I've told this story before, but it illustrates a point. My neighbor next door, my old house, I asked him, he got a house built in Mexico. I asked him how it was, and he said it was the worst fucking experience of his life. And I said, why? You got a perfect house. And he said, yes, they built the house perfectly. In other words, the result was perfect. But I sent my life savings to somebody in Mexico. Nobody messaged me back. I couldn't hear about what was going on. I reached out to them after a few months. They sent me something in Spanish. I had to have it translated. I basically didn't know for a year whether they stole my money or whether I really owned a house. And that was very stressful for him. And that just shows you how important the communication is. Imagine they had instead said, hey, we're so glad you joined up with us, and we really appreciate your trust and your faith. We're really excited to build your house. The whole team's gotten together. We just want to welcome you. Then they sent him a video and said, you know, here's your plot of land. Here's the foundation. Here's the walls. Here's the electricity. Those kind of things make a great deal of difference. So client communication is like a really, really big key to this. Third thing, by the way, are the expectations that you set, okay? And this is really, really key because I have a friend who ran the largest Facebook ad agency in Europe for like years. And he spent years trying to get better and better and better results. He hired better media buyers and he reinvested and reinvested. And he realized that eventually it wasn't the results. He actually had improved the results like 2 or 3 times and clients still had the same old complaints. And it made no difference until he realized it was the expectations, right? Like expectations. If I had a lawyer explain this to me, really, really simple. He said, if I tell a client I think I'm going to get him 10 grand, or I tell a client, sorry, I think we're going to get him 15 grand, and we get 10, in actuality, he thinks I'm the worst lawyer in the world. If I tell him I think we're going to get 10 and we end up getting 15, he thinks I'm the greatest lawyer in history. So that's the power of expectations, right? Like you want to set up expectations so you can exceed them. So if like, you know, if you, simple example, if you think you can get $5 webinar registrations, tell them 10. And then when it turns out they're 6, they're excited. But if you tell them 5 and then it's 6, they're like, what the hell, man? We're paying way too much a lead, right? So set expectations so you can exceed them. Next thing, by the way, which is the little extras that you do. Now, this is a forgotten thing that we don't actually even really, most people think is part of our service, but it actually is the whole totality of the client experience you create, which includes all those little extras you do. Do you send them a gift? Do you write them a handwritten note? Do you call them and just say, hey, I really appreciate your business? Do you, like, all those little things matter. You know, you'd be amazed that $12 of dog treats will keep clients for a long time. I had a client who posted that, hey, I'm really busy, I haven't seen my dogs, I feel really bad. This was on her Facebook, so I sent her on Amazon like a big bucket of dog treats for like 12 bucks. Those little things will keep clients far longer than just doing great SEO or AdWords or Facebook ads or websites alone. And I'm not saying the website doesn't matter, but I'm saying the whole client experience is part of that. Fifth thing, and I hope I'm not forgetting one, I'm just going to do some spitballing a little bit off the top of my head, but I want you guys to be as excited as a dancing Indian after a golden goal in Canada. That's an iconic moment, by the way, for all of us Canadians. I actually remember just a little funny moment in Canada. I remember the Olympics was on. That was Vancouver 2012. And I remember they said Canada was going to win the most gold medals. And they asked other Canadians, do you care about all the other gold medals if we don't win hockey? And they were like, no, if we don't win hockey, it doesn't matter. And that was in overtime, the last event of the Olympics. Canada won the hockey, the circus, right? Like the sports ball. So anyways, that's the scene you're seeing is the dancing Indian all excited about the sports ball. So the fifth thing, and this is something, is how unique your offer is and how easy it is to replace you, right? So if you're doing something like standard SEO and they get 100 pitches a week for other SEO companies, you're probably gonna have a harder time retaining people than if you create something, have a unique offer that they just can't get anywhere else easily. And sometimes it's just little tweaks to what you're doing. I've mentioned before when I used to do SEO, a plastic surgeon came to me once, said, can you build me a mommy makeover website? I said, yes. Then I said, then he said, can you rank the mommy makeover website for mommy makeover keywords? I looked and I said, yes. And he said, do you think we would get mommy makeover phone calls if we did that? And I said, yes. And they loved it, right? But it was, even though I was still doing SEO and web design in a nutshell, it was unique enough that nobody else would just offer them a mommy makeover website. So your uniqueness factors in. So obviously, like I mentioned, the results, the communications, the expectations, the little extras, and the uniqueness. You combine those 5 things, clients will just keep paying you over and over and over and over. Like I said, my oldest client has been with me since 2009. Makes life a lot easier when you know that like there's just a payment coming to start the month and you don't have to worry about it and you don't always have to hustle and do proposals and chase and all those kind of things. So hope that's helpful to you guys in the retention game. You master those 5 things, they'll stay a long time. I would love to hear from you guys, by the way, just what your retention is like now, maybe where you would like to get it, what clients are staying. I'll tell you, most agencies keep people 3 to 4 months. That's typical. And if you want to be in this long term, you want to see people stay at least 2 years minimum. And I would say probably more like 3 to 5. As an average, but if you get that down to at least 2+ years, you'll be able to spend way more on ads, way more on hiring. Your income will be predictable, your systems will be better, and you'll stop riding the roller coaster income that so many agencies experience that are just focused on getting results. So I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys are doing, how long people are staying, because I'd love to give you guys some ideas on what you can do to keep them longer. So post your thing below and There's no good or bad answers. A lot of times how long they stay is just based on, like I said, how unique you are, not necessarily how good you are. So post that below and I'll share some thoughts with you guys in the comments. And that's all I got for you guys already. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe, and may the force be with you.